Women's FIDE Grand Prix Series being played in Kosteniuk, Russia from April 7th to April 22nd, 2014. I don't think the women get nearly enough credit that they deserve. This is one of the Grand Prix series of tournaments leading up to the challenger for the current Women's World Champion. Great chess. Don't miss any of this action. Hi folks, John Kosteniuk back again with another great chess video for you. Round 7 of the FIDE Women's Grand Prix 2014 between Olga and Girya as white and Alexandria Kosteniuk as black. Alexandria Kosteniuk is former Women's World Champion. I think this game should be nominated for a Brilliancy Prize. I'm not going to tell you which side, so let's get to it. It's going to be a Queen's Gambit decline, c4, e6. I'll breeze through the opening here. Pretty much standard stuff. e3, b6, bishop e2, pawn takes, bishop e7, castles, knight, queen e2. Small advantage for white, about a quarter of a pawn. I kind of breezed through the opening a little bit. This video particularly isn't about the opening itself, it's about the game, so we'll just go through it. a6, a4, trying to get some space on the queen side for both. c5. Black lashes out at white center pawn on d4. White ignores it. Rook f to d1, then queen to e8. As you can see, sort of get the queen off the d file with the rook, because after pawn takes on c5, that knight will be pinned. Rook a to c1, bishop d6, and d5, e5. If black had taken instead, knight takes, knight takes, and rook takes. Maybe 3/4 of a pawn advantage for white, and traded off a lot of pieces quick there. Bishop g3. I'm not going to tell you yet how this goes as far as who gets the Brilliancy Prize nomination, in my opinion. If queen had gone to c2, the computer suggests that after e4, knight to d2, and queen to b8. After bishop g3, the knight comes up, hitting the dark-squared bishop. Knight goes to e4. Now the computer shows that the knight takes the bishop on g3, the h-pawn would take, but probably that's a good idea. If you took with a knight, that's blocking right now, the e-pawn, but I'm afraid of f5 for black, chasing that knight off, but we'll see how it goes. Bishop back. Look at those two bishops bearing down on white's king side. White's got a good position too. Look at those two front knights and that center pawn on d5, blocking everything. Bishop, so the knight can't get it. f5. Now most of us, I think, would probably put the knight on c3. She goes d6, discovered check. King to h8, bishop e7. Look at that. Bishop right down the middle of, right in the heart of her camp. F takes. If bishop had taken instead, bishop takes, knight takes, b4. And believe it or not, it's a rook for 2 pieces. And black's got a small advantage. I'd rather have 2 pieces over a rook anytime, actually. But after f takes, knight to h4. Now look at this. The queen's hitting the knight on h5. That dark-squared bishop is being supported by its own pawn right down in black's camp. The knight's going to jump to g6. The queen's going to be coming. The black queen's stuck guarding the knight on h5. It looks pretty good for white right here, but oddly enough, the computer says 0.00. Knight comes up. Bishop e6. Look at that. You got a bishop on e6. And here, look at that combination. Just choking. Just choking black. Bishop c6. Bishop f5. Oddly enough, as tough as this looks right now for black, it's still even on the computer. Rook to f7. What else could she do? Knight checks. King to g8. Queen to c4. Now you got a pin on the rook with bishop here, pawn here, and knight here. Wow. And it's still even on the computer. And I got to tell you, if you're black right here, we're human beings, all of us, even the great players. Got to be a ton of psychological pressure on black right now to try to find the right move. Because with this position, any bad move, you're doomed. A lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. After queen to c4, rook to a7. Trying to get some kind of cover here. You've got both rooks horizontally trying to protect. And you've got all the white pieces swarming around the black king. Tough, tough, tough. b3. Knight to d5. Computer suggested maybe b5 instead, then queen to e6. And look at that conglomeration. Holy crow. Look at this pile of pieces. After knight to d5, bishop takes, rook takes. After bishop takes d7, rook takes. According to the computer, maybe the queen taking was the best option. Because then after knight takes, queen to f5, knight, queen takes, and I think black escapes. There's two pieces for a rook and a pawn, at least in material, and I think black escapes. But she took with the rook. Rook takes. Bishop takes. Queen takes. Black is up the exchange right now. And the pressure is on. I think the pressure is a little bit relieved, and you see this sometimes in a game where you'll be under pressure, under pressure, under pressure, under pressure. And then when it's relieved a little bit, you relax, you ease up, and you make a mistake. And I think that's what happened to Alexandra Kosteniuk. The computer calls for king to h7, and you're still down, you're up the exchange, but you're down over 1.5 points in score. You're still going to have a hard time. She makes a mistake. She goes bishop to c7. And that's bad news, because after king to h7, queen takes, king to g8. I don't know if she'll survive it, but she certainly would better off than that, because after knight takes e4. Beautiful. Beautiful. Let's look at that for a minute. Who would have taken that pawn? Would you have taken it with a queen instead? Knight takes, rook takes, knight takes f7. Wow, look at this. Rook takes, pawn takes. What to do, what to do. Believe it or not, right now, white is up only a pawn, but is up over almost 9 points in score. Queen to c8 to block the pawn. It seems like you're okay, but you're doomed. Queen checks, of course. Rook. Rook to d1. King moves. h3. Pawn. Pawn takes. Queen to f5. Now think about what would you do right here. You're white. What would you do? Queen takes the rook. And after queen takes, rook to d8, queen to f6, and white queens. And you're up a full rook and a pawn. And that's where Alexandra Kosteniuk former women's world champion, resigned. That was a great game by Olga Girya. I forget where she's from. I think she's from Russia. I'm not sure. Eastern Europe somewhere. Great player. It's a hell of a game. I think this is a Brilliancy Prize nomination for me. Anyway, folks, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I want you all to remember, if you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.
Why not?
No, I can't. I'm not going to do it.
Be over real quick.
I'll lose my job, okay?
Okay.
No. Shh.
I'll give you $10.
Oh, no.
I'll be real quick. Oh, please.
$20. You better be quick.
And Prix wins the game for the Brisbane Broncos in Golden Point.